it has been 20 years since 9/11. We're going to look at a little bit at what our former president, George W. Bush, had to say about everything. But for me, it's a really important day because I turned 18 the day before. So I became an adult, right? And I was in New York. I was in Lower Manhattan. And then there was a giant plume of smoke, and I was running around all day trying to give blood and make sandwiches for hospital workers. And in 2 weeks, we were like headed to war. So my world very much turned upside down. I became very politicized through 9/11 and through the subsequent war on terror and the stripping of civil liberties and, you know, all the things that were happening around us at the time and around me at the time. 10 years ago when this happened, it was like a sort of a decade, I wrote like a very sincere think piece about what it meant to me and how I was becoming an anti-capitalist and it, that piece is actually pretty good, pretty well written. This year, 20 years later, I just drank like a spiked kombucha on a river and was like, yeah, I don't have the energy anymore to get mad about this, but I am. And I was going to do a live and I decided not to. But I do want to say that, we've never actually healed from 9/11 because our anger and our pain were just immediately directed into revenge for nothing and trillions of dollars of taxpayer money that went to bombing, killing, occupying, torturing. And no one ever gave us the time and space to actually be sad and actually honor the people who died and actually look at how we got into this mess. Why do people hate us? It's not for the freedoms, people. We've seen that. Best onion headline ever. Al-Qaeda says that the U.S. needs to drastically improve its bridges and tunnels before it considers bombing them any further. Thought that was like my favorite. It's more or less that. So I'm mad that still 20 years later, we don't have that proper space to mourn that is separate from a jingoistic, militaristic patriotism that is dangerous, that is violent, that we've seen the ramifications of today, that people have been radicalized because of these wars, because of the Islamophobia. And not only that, but just a month ago, you've got the withdrawal from Afghanistan. And look, man, I knew it was wrong. I marched against the war in Afghanistan when we were going in. Never in my life could I have imagined it would have gone so poorly. We can't even do the bad things right? And it's salt in the wounds on top of everything else. And I will say one good thing that's been happening, right? A little bit more truth, a little bit more of the veil lifted from the events of that day, are that Biden is going to declassify a whole host of documents that were deemed too sensitive to declassify before now. And I think that's the right move, right? We know there's a lot of connections to the Saudi government that we didn't look in before. My answer is not to bomb the Saudi government. The answer is to not be best buds with another country that is actually doing harm in that region, and holding folks accountable for that. This is what the victims of 9/11 families or people who died are continuing to call for and continuing to ask for. So I think that's some progress. That's good. But honestly, I couldn't watch any news. I couldn't watch any media that day. And I know the only people I wanted to hear from that day were like, if you're a family member of a victim or if you're a victim of the war on terror. That's the only people. If you're a Muslim who was detained, and we need to seek those stories out. So I encourage everyone to do that. And maybe we can do more of that on this show as well. Just turn off cable news, allow ourselves to find your own not special, but, extract your understanding of those events from that patriotic, blind, revenge-seeking militarism that was shoved down our throats. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.